Hey everybody, it's Jonathan Kirstein here, bringing you our summer of Pittsburgh tech stories, hanging out with Comcast, powering this thing up because we have so many great stories to tell this summer. And this story I think is going to really knock shocks off. This is like our trifecta of people that I think are just so cool here in Pittsburgh that they're putting their minds together. Which is what I love. People, they all have all the little parts that they play in the tech community, but they've all kind of come together to help to be a stronger force, for lack of a better term, when it comes to helping people, especially around things like agile, talking about people and process and technology, and how really COVID has really brought all this to the forefront as to how important it is to have this mindset and to have these applications going through your business. And I think even just your own life. I think at this point in general, I keep telling everybody, if you're not thinking agile, man, you're going to be left so far behind as far as that is. And like I said, I got these three people here. I got John Miller from Real CIO, Kelly Fetick from Landis, and Neysha Arcelay from Prexica. Guys, thanks for coming together and doing this. You guys bring such an awesome energy. Every time I meet with you, you pump me up. And so I'm looking forward to being pumped up today. No pressure. And let's just start with a little background, and then someone can tell a story as to how you guys kind of all found each other and kind of like blew things up in a really good way. So Neysha, let's start with you.
No pressure. I think you described it perfectly, Jonathan. We came together actually through the Pittsburgh Technology Council. And literally it was something that just clicked between the three of us,
Right.
And we decided to initiate this partnership, sharing ideas, supporting each other, pushing each other from the three different perspectives, because I think all the three of us have experienced the wonders and the importance of in every single strategic decision, talking about people, process, and technology, and considering people, process, and technology. And then we discovered how all of my experience have been in process improvement, operational excellence. Kelly would talk a little bit about hers, and John. So it was a perfect match.
I like it. And then John's got some serious CIO skills. This guy, he knows technology inside and out. He knows process inside and out. So I can start seeing where these pieces start building on each other. So John, give us a little bit about your background and what you do with Real CIO.
Well, I was in Pittsburgh. I've been in the IT community for, I hate to say it, but well over 40 years.
All right. I like that.
So, starting in the old days when we had the glass house and hiding behind a wall and you couldn't see the mainframe, and how it's developed into where we have more power in our cell phones now than we had in the mainframes that we had back then.
That's amazing.
And growing the technology presence in Pittsburgh through the Tech Council has been great. The lines between technology and process are really blurred.
Oh, yeah.
The lines between people and technology have been really blurred. The people that used to never have a computer before now all have them. And it's so the partnership that the three of us have together. And I don't think it really, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think our relationship really started as a people process and technology thing. I think it started as we're just business people who got together and were networking, and we had friendships, and it kind of dawned on us one day that
why are we working together?
Wow, Kelly really does know the people piece, and Neysha really knows the process piece, and I know the technology piece, and
exactly.
Those are the three factors that always seem to bubble up to how things are divided.
Exactly. It's like this, that perfect three-legged stool almost. Like you got all the angles covered. Absolutely love it. I think it's cool. And so the final leg of that stool, of course, here with Kelly, you know the people. What's your background? Why are you hanging out with these two folks?
Right. So my background is all within people. I've been doing technology staffing 15 years now. It's really the only thing I know how to do at this point.
You can do more than that, I'm sure.
I have some kids, I raise them. So that's my background. Landis Consulting Group's about 4 years, and these guys, we met. We just like John and Neysha were saying, we just really enjoyed each other and liked each other. And it's a bit of a lonely world whenever you're running a business sometimes. So it's just nice to have your own mini board to bounce ideas off.
Exactly.
And then one day we kind of realized, hey, we are, the 3 Ps, people, process, technology. And that's powerful. No pun intended. So it's been a really great, valuable relationship for me too. And
Awesome.
yeah.
I love hearing it. That's why I think this makes such a unique story as far as it is. And what I'm really pumped about is in summer, in a few weeks, our next issue of TEQ magazine has a really cool article that you guys I don't think co-authored. I'm trying to think of the word where there's 3 people, tri-authored, I guess, or something like that. Maybe co-counts for more than 2. I don't know these things. But anyhow, you guys put your brains together and you wrote a really powerful piece. I kind of want to nerd out on that a little bit today because I think you guys kind of go through the flow of this thing just perfectly in the article. And maybe just set the tone, Kelly, like what was the idea for the piece and what was the inspiration for you guys to come together and put this together?
So we've always kind of talked about doing a collaboration piece, just with incorporating all the different facets of, what we do. And then with everything that happened and when the pandemic was going on, we're like, this is a really great time to really put our heads together and do what we've been thinking about doing. So we did. And it really made sense too, because when you're thinking about, what we did when, COVID hit and the way that everybody had to transform and, really adapt quickly. And it was really important to think and consider people, process, and technologies in these decisions that needed to happen really quickly. Mm-hmm. It made sense to kind of really do this and put it on paper and share it with the community.
Absolutely. So let's talk about agile. Everyone's heard about it. And let's just kind of start with that and then drill into how you need that going across as people, process, and technology. Neysha, do you want to start off for us?
I can definitely start. I think we saw, we started as a discussion. Although we have never seen something of this magnitude before, we have seen transforming of markets and businesses many times before. And the companies that can adapt quickly are the companies that survive. And John makes a fantastic point in the article if we think about Blockbuster and other companies in that regard. From my perspective, this provided the opportunity to slash the red tape and bureaucracy of our processes in order to make decisions faster, quicker, and just come together so that our customers suffer the least amount of impact possible. So the fact that companies were continuously able to improve, and that can only be accomplished through agile processes. Definitely resilient people and resilient organizations, but through agility is the only way that you could quickly switch gears and make sure that you stood up your operations as quickly as possible. And John, you have a fantastic perspective in terms of your examples.
Yeah, tell us, John, please fill us in.
So it's interesting thinking about how technology has changed in the agile world. It used to be that we would put together disaster recovery plans, and we always looked for, what components are likely to fail, what server rooms are likely to fail, what things are going to happen that's going to prevent us from being able to support our organizations. Right. And if when the 3 of us first got together to write this article, as I recall, it didn't really look like it ended up looking like. We started talking about how has people, process, and technologies been affected by this COVID thing and the shelter in place. How has it affected our worlds? And what it came down to was, after our discussion, we started talking more about leadership and our ability and our need to lead our organizations. And the 3 of us run our own organizations. So we had to figure out how could we lead our organizations to become more agile, to be able to recover from things that we have no clue were going to happen.
Exactly.
From a technology perspective, server fails. We have backup servers. We have redundant data sources in other locations. We have multiple fiber circuits into our data centers. Things like that we could recover from. This, we had no clue. When someone said, you can no longer go to work and neither can anybody in your company, that presented a very unique situation. And if companies were not agile with the technology to be able to provide the connectivity to work from home, and the people, so that the people had to have, there were things that we had to look at as far as having hourly employees working in some cases around the clock, and we had processes that had to change about allowing remote computers into our network that we never encountered before. And so we started looking at, how can we make all this happen? How can we do it quickly? Literally overnight, literally over a weekend.
Exactly.
We got entire.
Everyone knows that weekend well too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Like, what were you doing that weekend? It's almost like.
Yeah.
When I think about how this compared to even Y2K, I mean, we worked on Y2K for 35 years.
You had 35 hours for COVID-19.
Pretty much, yeah.
Banks
Mhm.
had to deal with 30-year mortgages that were going to be expiring after the year 2000. So in IT, we've been working on Y2K for 30 years.
Right.
This came out of left field and had to be solved immediately.
Exactly. And then from a people standpoint, then Kelly, I mean, obviously, I mean, that's where it gets super tricky, because you're talking about people's minds and their attitudes and a culture within a company and everything like that. How does this work on your end then?
Right. Yeah. It's, in my world, culture was already such a big piece. All of our worlds, culture is a big piece. But when you talk about recruiting high-tech talent into these organizations in such a competitive environment, it's a really, really big deal. So when you think about the way that our culture needs to kind of reflect what happened and make sure it continues in a positive way, people really need to incorporate, resiliency by design, into their culture. And also just the people that cared about, that showed their support and cared about their employees, and this cultures that had true empathy, and leaders that had empathy in their thoughts and decisions. Like, their employees aren't going to forget that. It's going to be really continually important moving forward too. So it's just a matter of focusing on that and really supporting your people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the tough part is stringing all three of these things together. And I'm assuming also, I mean, as this whole thing has transpired, I know you've had probably lots of people reaching out to you, either with problems of one or two or all three of these, or just realizing, hopefully not just realizing, but I'm sure there's many just realizing now, they're like, man, I am kind of caught with my guard down here. How do I begin? Because I think we're all starting to sense that it's gonna be a tricky environment for the next few years, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it's just begun. And so how do you get someone kind of started to begin these types of processes, to get that methodology going, to get the processes, to get the people lined up, to get the technology to kind of power all of that, I guess, at the end of the day?
I think holistically, Jonathan, and we definitely want to lay it out in the article, but I think holistically, you cannot, and John summarized it perfectly, and so Kelly, we cannot think about resiliency and business continuity plans based on technology, based on people, based on our processes. These always, from now on more than ever, are going to have to come together, because this is not going to be the only situation that we face in the future. Experts are already calling out for a second surge. We kind of are seeing it here in Pittsburgh already starting. So considering people, process, and technology, and something that is incredibly important, not people, process, and technology based on the way things are today, but also refocusing on the purpose and the why behind your business. Because we can get distracted with, oh, we can do this, we can do that, but if it's not aligned, it's going to cascade through your offerings. Your clients are going to feel a disconnect, and your employees are also going to feel that they do not have a path that connects them to the bigger thing.
Exactly. I mean, that actually sounds a lot like getting yourself into this mindset of continuous improvement, which I know is a point that's in the article. And I feel like if you're not taking that mindset, then you're just going backwards again. Like, you're not being agile then at all. So you got to go back to square one and re-begin your consultation with you guys, right?
Exactly. You get the three of us, because now we rely on each other whenever the tough questions come.
And again, it goes back to leadership. It goes back to the person at the top of the organization leading the organization into a mindset of being agile. It used to be for IT people, you would look for really skilled technicians that can take a Cisco switch apart and put it back together again with their eyes closed, and being able to make all these changes and configure things. Now we're looking at a totally different set of skills. We're looking at innovation and adaptability and collaboration and synergy, getting people to work together that never worked together before, or maybe never even liked working together. Yeah. And getting them to solve problems. Right. And again, we had to pull so many people together to get remote processing to work flawlessly. And, the three of us pulled together to put our thoughts together and put it into something that was cohesive. And it's the leadership thing that that's
what comes up, right?
Really makes a difference. And Kelly touched on, or I'm sorry, Neysha touched on a really important topic about the why. And really getting in touch with the why, the organization. What do we do? Why do we do what we do? Because your why doesn't change in a crisis. And fortunately or unfortunately,
intensified at that point. At that point, then your why becomes like just magnified.
It does. And being able to still deliver on your why with a solid solution is what is important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the faster you're moving, you're moving fast. So the more ability the quicker you can actually think back to why your company does what they do, what's important to your clients, what's important to your people, and just incorporating that into these quick decisions that need to be made. It's going to be so valuable moving forward.
100%. So one thing I'm excited about is we're going to have this article posted up on our pghtech.org website, our brand new website. We just relaunched it. It's got a big old news center with thought leaders section. So we're going to encourage everybody, go and check it out. Just go to pghtech.org, click on the TEQ link. It'll be right at the top there where this article is going to be there. So you can kind of read through it and nerd out. And I think being able to hear a little bit about it's one thing, but then actually reading it and going through your words, I think really makes all this stuff just super concrete. And I just think you guys are raising some great points. And I just love seeing the three of you guys coming together. Like that to me makes Pittsburgh very magical, because you guys find each other. And I'm glad the Tech Council had a little role in you guys connecting up, which I think is just super cool. I think it's just awesome. And so I'm just going to change gears just a little bit, since this is part of our Summer of 50 Stories with Comcast. Part of what we're trying to do here is raise some awareness and some funds to bridge the digital divide. We're trying to raise some money for the Beyond the Laptops Foundation, trying to get laptops into Pittsburgh Public School students' hands. And we've raised a bunch of money to date, which means a lot of laptops for kids going back to school. So I'm just curious to pick each of your brains real quickly. What are some thoughts on ways that Pittsburgh could be, in the world for that matter, could be better bridging this divide? How can we make sure we're bringing everybody along for the ride and everybody has access to good technology? Anyone want to jump in there first? John, maybe you, since you are the official tech geek of the crowd.
Well, that's a very difficult situation, because that takes a lot of funding.
Yep.
I think involving corporate America in this is a great idea. I think partnering organizations that need the equipment with organizations that have the equipment. There's a lot of IT shops out there that have old equipment, a lot of laptops, and at the end of every 3 years, you rotate laptops out.
Right.
From an IT perspective, from a CIO perspective, one of the things we always ask ourselves is, what are we going to do with this old equipment? And unfortunately, the answer is throw it away.
Don't scrap it.
Because
it's clear and give it to some kids.
And there are really good technologies you can explore that you can basically rebuild a laptop, put a new operating system on that is designed to work on older technology, and you can repurpose it for schools and people, organizations that really don't have the technology that they need.
Right.
There's a lot of equipment out there.
Good to know.
And getting organizations to realize that they have another destination for some of their obsolete equipment is a great idea. There's a lot of this equipment is designed to run for 4, 5, 6 years, and that
has half its life left or more.
Absolutely.
And to get that into someone's hands and have the right OS and the right, just to know that it's going to work, I think it's just fantastic.
And just the way the whole world is going towards cloud computing, the device you have on your desk really doesn't need to be that powerful.
Right, exactly, because it's tapping into a server someplace else.
Needing
Absolutely.
connectivity to a cloud server, and that's where all the data is, and that's where all the programs are. You know, I talked earlier about, you know, coming through the time when we had the glass house. We're back.
We're back. Yeah, isn't that kind of funny?
You have a dumb terminal on your desk, and you're working off of some supercomputer, and you know, no one knows where it is.
No one knows where it is. It's somewhere.
But
So
these
Kelly,
devices are great devices. We just
absolutely,
we need to put together some program that matches up need with availability.
Definitely. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, just to, you know, piggyback off what John's saying, that's the people want to help right now. So the more visibility, the more that we, you know, leaning into the tech community and getting it into the corporate hands to, you know, put it out there to the people. I mean, everybody wants to help. That's one of the things that was really cool, you know, throughout the whole pandemic, is just seeing how many people stepped up, and, you know, it was inspiring from that aspect. And that's definitely an area to focus in.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Neysha, what are your thoughts on this whole topic?
I am going to emphasize on everyone's point and on the article. Cross collaboration is key. I know that organizations are dealing with all of the turmoil of the market, of their employees, but once you strengthen the community is going to support you to continue to grow. So cross collaboration between public and private partnerships, and ensuring that organizations keep an eye out for those community initiatives that are a no-brainer and low-hanging fruit, so that they can continue to grow and continue to provide value to the community, is incredibly important, including their internal initiatives, equally as important as the internal initiatives.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice all the way around. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with me today. I really want to encourage everybody, go to pghtech.org, click on the old media drop down. The article is right there. Plus, it has your contact information all in there as well, too. We'll also put it in the liner notes, of course, of the podcast and the video of this series as well, too, because I think if anyone's out there looking for some advice or to turn their agility up to the next level, their process up to the next level, they got to talk to you guys. You guys do some great work, and I'm just so glad we got to tell a little bit of your story today, because it's a good one, and I'm glad you're part of our 50 that Comcast is helping us do this year. Great stuff, guys.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.